maybe they can actually fix this doorknob right while they're here.
Yeah, I'll ask. Who knows? Hi, early birds will start in about 35 seconds or so. We're on live. Watch your language. Hey, what time is it? Good evening. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchap Tarduling, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City, northern New Jersey, under the direction of His Eminence Chabje Ling Rinpoche, and also under the direction of uh, Rato Kenser Thupten Lunda, also known as Geshe Nikki Vreeland. This is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Lamrim Chenmo, Stages on the Path to Enlightenment. Any problems with the transmission, the picture, etc., please let us know right away, either myself or Darren Smith by text. Don't call, it knocks the picture off. My phone's hooked to it. All the prayers we say are on the website in the FAQ section. Scroll down to prayers. If there's anyone for whom you want us to pray for who has passed away recently, put their names in the chat box as soon as possible. I'm sorry, I have a very small portion of the chat box. I don't see it all, but if I do see the name, I'll say it at the end. So we have a lot to do tonight. We'll hear from the Foundation Vehicle, also known as the Theravada School. We'll hear from His Holiness a little, and we'll return to the Lamrim Chenmo, Chapter 13 of Volume 3. So this is Chapter 13 of Volume 3 of the Lamrim, plus other additional material from the Theravada School of Tibetan Buddhism and His Holiness Dalai Lama. So the prayers, as I said, are on the website. Prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to the practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon, and especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination, and at the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed true complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. Well, Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn profound, transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva, mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Refuge and Bodhisattva vow, which of course we say 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge through the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today, in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. As a cause for the swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche, His Holiness has composed a prayer for a swift return. It's on our website, so we say it when we convene. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled, supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So, as promised, we have a nice lineup of different things. In the beginning of the program, we'll consult this book, an old book, but very, very valuable, called Living Buddhist Masters. Came out in 1977. The interviews in here from throughout the 70s early, so he specifically interviewed a lot of the greats, Achan Cha, Mahasi Sayadaw, Achan Nayeb, the great woman Theravada master. This is a young man at the time, Achan Jumnien. Here's his picture. Of course, that was taken 45 years ago. I don't know if he's around in this same life or not. I don't know anything about him. However, his information is very, very good. It's an insight into the what we think the Theravada school is not what we think it is. When we have our impression of it, it's very, very, very cohesive with the message of our school here. A little bit of his background. He was born in a rural village. He's Thai, Thai. He's from Thailand, I think. I'll make sure. Yes, yeah, Thailand. Born in a rural village, apprenticed at an early age to the village folk doctor, who was a blind lay priest and astrologer. Achan Jumnien began meditation practice at the age of 6. His first instruction was in concentration practices and loving kindness meditation. He also trained as a folk healer and was admonished to constantly work on his meditation and to remain celibate. By adolescence, many local people were turning to him for help, and at the age of 20, he ordained as a monk in the Theravada Buddhist tradition. He proceeded to practice various concentration meditations with well-known teachers in Thailand, traveled as a wandering ascetic, and then was trained in intensive insight meditation by Achan Damadaro at Wat Tao Kot. Achan Damadaro is famous. When Achan Jumnien was asked to teach 8 years ago, he was in his early 30s and just becoming known among local people for his wisdom in expounding the Dharma and for the power of his loving kindness. He was specifically requested by the people of Wat Sukonatawa to come and teach, as they were having great problems. This area of lush forest and rubber tree groves in southern Thailand was a focus of prolonged and occasionally violent conflict between government forces and the communist-style insurgents in the mountains. I won't go on with his bio because it takes too long. Extremely open teacher to Westers and everyone else. This is a type of, this now takes place more of a dialogue, a recollection of an interview with Achan Jumnien at Wat Sukonatawas, Suratanai, Thailand. I'm assuming at this time the Vietnam War was still going on because it didn't end until 1975. And we had our troops in Thailand, about 30,000 there, running around unannounced, but they were there. So a lot was going on. Questions? What type of meditation do you teach here? Okay, he says, here you will, the answer from Achan Jumnien, here you will find people practicing many meditation techniques. The Buddha outlined more than 40 kinds to his disciples. Not everyone has the same background. Not everyone has the same ability. I do not teach just one type of meditation, but many, selecting the appropriate one for each disciple. Some here practice meditation on the breath. Others do meditation based on watching sensations in the body. Some work on loving kindness. For some who come, I give instructions in beginning insight practice, while for others I teach concentration methods that will eventually lead them into higher insight practices and wisdom. Accord with our view, Buddhist teachings are vast. There's something for everyone, for each temperament. And don't forget, people change. They may start with one thing, they develop, and then they need the next thing and the next thing. It's all within these teachings of the Buddha. Question now, next question. You say, this is on page 275, by the way, of this book, if you happen to have it. It's been reprinted, I understand. It's called Living Buddhist Masters. Jack Kornfield did the interviews and put it together. Question. You say there are many good ways to practice. What about all the teachers who claim that their way or their method is the real way of the Buddha and that other practices do not lead to enlightenment? What do you think his answer is going to be? Yeah, they're right. No. The whole of Buddhist practice can be summed up in one sentence. Ooh, he hits us from the side. Cling to nothing. Cling or grasp. Same words. The whole Buddhist practice can be summed up in one sentence. Cling to nothing. Often, even very wise people will still cling to the one method that worked for them. They have not yet been able to completely let go of their method or their teacher. Completely let go. Not in tune with the commonality, excuse me, their teacher. They are not in tune with the commonality of all, in all our practice. So there's a thread that runs through all of it. This does not mean that they may not be good teachers. You must be careful not to judge them or cling to your own idea of what a teacher should be. Interesting. Wisdom is not something that we can hold on to. Simply the absence of clinging allows wisdom to flow. The absence of clinging allows wisdom to flow. A good t-shirt. No, I don't. I was fortunate, he goes on. I mastered the practices of many teachers before starting to teach. There are many good practices. What is important is that you devote yourself to your own practice with faith and energy. Then you will know the results for yourself. Question: do you usually start your students directly with insight meditation or with a concentration practice? What do? He said most often they start with an insight practice. Sometimes, though, I will teach a concentration jhana practice first, especially if they have had past meditation experience or if their mind tends towards concentration easily. So he's handcrafting the teachings. Eventually, it is most important that everyone return to insight practice. There is a discourse in the Pali scriptures in which the Buddha, while receiving some lay visitors, speaks to this point. He indicates the various natures of the monks sitting in groups in the grove before him. And here Buddha says, see how those monks with tendency towards great wisdom are gathered there with Shariputra, my wisest disciple? And there, how those who tend most towards powers are clustered with my great disciple Mahamudgalyana. He was the great concentration guy, the great miracle guy, Mudgalyana. And those with a tendency towards monastic discipline are with Upali, the master of the Vinaya, while those in whom jhanic tendencies predominate, ... That's what he said. So the Buddha himself pointed out, see, people will tend towards what they're inclined to, eventually what they're inclined to develops, and then they can move on. So we see that from the time of the Buddha, teachers have all allowed predisposition to help in selecting the proper practice for meditators. And yes, that's the only way. You're predisposed to something, it's a lot easier, and then you can, travel the path faster. Okay, so we're getting out. I always check this to see if we're actually getting out. What are some of the other factors involved in selecting a proper meditation? In guiding a student, I look to his or her past practices and propensities. I also consider how much time and energy a student has to devote to meditation. Is he a lay person who will practice 1 hour a day, or a monk wishing intensive round-the-clock practice? That's a factor. Temperament. Does the patient's temperament lend itself to a practice? Loving kindness for some angry people is a good way to start. Meditation on equanimity is good for those who are overly concerned about people around them instead of their own practice. There are many factors that can be considered in choosing a meditation. Meditation is in fact a way of life. We are talking here of meditation as techniques to use to further a way of being, but we must remember that everything in life can be meditation. In terms of technique, if you choose any of the basic Buddhist practices leading to insight and practice sincerely, you can't go wrong. Very good, isn't it? Is it better to practice meditation alone or in a group situation? This is a very good question, and this is a question that a lot of people ask even now. He said it varies. Okay, that is a nice political answer. It varies. No, actually, the answer is well crafted. In the case of new meditators, if they are serious and ardent, it is good to place them alone and to supervise carefully their initial practice. For those who are not so serious or self-disciplined, or who are especially unbalanced and need to be close to a teacher, they should practice in a structured, supportive group. This way they can be helped and inspired and can use the energy of the group to strengthen their practice. As for more experienced students, if they are strict and sincere, solitude and silence is best. These students can help themselves and their path will deepen without being pushed by a teacher or group. With those less disciplined, even if experienced, it is better for them to stay in a group setting. The discipline and hard practice will help them break through their inner resistance until they see for themselves the true Dharma. Then their practice will flower alone or in a group, unhindered. So I reach a certain point, of course, you can do what you wish then. Can you give any more pointers on how to direct our practice? He said practice should be directed opposite your predominant hindrances or attachments. If you are honest with yourself, you can identify these easily. For example, if your temperament is one that leads you to indifference, and you should make an extra effort to cultivate compassion. If lust is a problem, you use the contemplation on the repulsiveness of the body until you can see its true nature more clearly, unhindered by your desires. If you are deluded and confused, cultivate investigation or analysis. You can see there. And sensibility in relation to your experience. Study and watch clearly to overcome this tendency. But you must practice with devotion and sincerity. You must have devotion to your own path directed with an unceasing desire to know the truth. Otherwise, your practice will stagnate and become like a ritual. Only the end of greed, hatred, and delusion in the heart will do. That's the goal. The end of greed, hatred, and delusion, the three poisons: attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Bit by bit, moment by moment, you must continue your way with constancy. Practice fearlessly right into the direction of your attachments, and do it until liberation. That's all. Well, that's not all. We have more questions. Here's something that's very strange now, and Ajahn Nayab also talks about it. And this is something we can verify right now in the comfort of our own home, blah, blah, blah. Would you describe the process of breaking through a posture? Now, this is heavy. This is a heavy discipline. Okay. He says, this is technique, total technique. Our fear of pain and our attachment to the body interfere with clarity and wisdom. Okay? For those disciples who have the energy and inclination, I recommend an insight practice concentrating on the movement of sensation in the body. This is done while holding to only one posture: sitting, standing, lying, or walking for a long period of time, just one. As the meditator holds any posture, attentive to the body, pain increases. As he continues to hold still, the pain continues to increase, and he must concentrate directly on these feelings. Bodily pain is a precise object on which to concentrate. Wow. I've tried something like this, and it doesn't. Never mind. Let me shut up. Bodily pain is a precise object on which to concentrate. Eventually, the mind perceives the pain not as pain, but as a clear sensation, neither desirable nor undesirable, arising and ceasing in the body. Often meditators will sit or stand for a whole 24 hours in one position, waiting for the bus in New York, probably. Yeah. As soon as we stop moving, the suffering inherent in our bodies shows itself. As soon as we stop moving, the suffering in our bodies shows itself. Sometimes 4 or 5, sometimes 8 hours or more will pass before a meditator breaks through his attachment to bodily pain. Then there is no need to move. The mind becomes extremely clear, concentrated, and malleable. Malleable sounds like pliancy, the keynote of, the indicator of calm abiding. Malleable. A great deal of joy and rapture accompany this breakthrough, same as the calm abiding achievement. The meditator is able to see clearly with equanimity bodily and mental phenomena arising and ceasing. With bodily desires settled and strong concentration developed, wisdom arises. Breaking through a posture is one of the many practices we use here. It is only used with serious students under close supervision. Ajahn Nayab, the female Buddhist master, used to people come in and sit down. Don't move. And 10, 15 minutes, they would move a little or scratch. Why did you move? Oh, you have uncomfortable? All right, sit again. They would constantly, she's saying, look, that's the nature of the body. It's suffering. This guy takes it to another level where this concentration on pain is a meditative object, and he's developing calm abiding on it. I would say that from this point of view. I don't know. Okay. Is there any use for contemplation on thinking using thought in meditation? Oh, what do we expect them to say? Not what we expect. When we first start to practice, we begin to see the nature of our normal thought processes, an endless stream of ideas, fantasies, regrets, plans, judgments, fears, desires, commentary, worry, and on and on. It can be helpful, especially in initial stages of meditation, to work with thinking, to direct the thinking mind into our practice. What this means is to cultivate thoughts related to the Dharma, such as reflecting on the 4 elements contemplate how all we know constantly changes form, that our world is simply a play of changing elements. Same Lamrim meditation. See? Very tersely stated, though. We can also direct thinking to contemplate the three characteristics in all situations of our daily life. We can think about life and impending death as a way to understanding our experience in terms of the Dharma. All of this is the cultivation of right understanding. From books and teachings, we move to our own directed thought. We move to our own directed thought and consideration, and finally to meditation for a deep, silent understanding of our own mind. So in other words, read the books, contemplate, meditate. So there's 3 steps that we use: hearing, thinking, meditating. In relation to the various practices here, how do you recommend disciples eat? We all eat, so what does he say about it? You don't eat. No. You ate yesterday. No, he didn't say that. His answer is interesting. The content of the diet is not particularly important. Get out those Cheetos. No, don't. It should be sufficient to maintain the body health only. What is important is how food is eaten. How food is eaten. Normally, we have many strong desires associated with eating. Our meditation is a way to get beyond our desires. Food should be received, prepared, and eaten with careful attention to the process involved. A mindfulness application here. Some kinds of eating meditation include viewing all food and substances around you in terms of the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. You can then perceive the flow of elements in and out of your body. Or else, you can be aware of contact while you eat. The sensation of the touch of the food on your hand and your mouth. Some of them eat like this. The sensation of the touch of the food on your mouth, the touch of the smell at your nose, the touch of your hand on the bowl. Focus clearly on contact, the sense of touch in the whole eating process, and you will go beyond your desires. If your desires are especially strong, you might meditate on the repulsive aspects of food during its preparation, digestion, and elimination, or meditate on the constant change in the food from the farmer's field to the stomach. Most simple would be to be clearly aware of the whole process of getting and eating food. Watch the mind as consciousness changes. Desires come and go. Intention to eat, chewing, tasting, whatever becomes conscious. Watch that process. Any of the food meditations will help us break through desires and to the clarity and freedom beyond desire. To break through desires to the clarity and freedom beyond desire. The same theme. The clarity, desire is blocking your clarity, your intelligence. Desire, and of course aversion would do it too, and ignorance too. So what about Hatha Yoga and other body-oriented practices, someone asks? These may be useful to keep the body healthy, but such practices are not essential to our work. As meditation progresses, the body automatically begins to become balanced. Increased concentration and mindfulness automatically lead to better posture and freer energy flow in the body. As your meditation practice deepens, you will feel your body as lighter, more balanced, energetic. You need not worry about this or add it to your list of desires. It will come of itself. Don't go after it. It'll come of itself. It comes to you. And I myself have never practiced Hatha Yoga nor anything like it, yet I now find less than 3 hours sleep sufficient. I feel always light and energetic and have walked through the mountains without food for days without stop, feeling no ill effects, all by keeping my mind disciplined and using meditation. Certainly do take care of the body, but do not perceive bodily attainments as a necessary foundation in our practice. Obviously, he has pliancy, mental pliancy. The body does what it wants. It's blissful. It's light. So it's another way of describing the same disciplines we talk about in the Lamrim, I think. Somebody else may have another view. I think we'll make this the last question. How essential is the practice of virtue and morality in our practice? And he answers a strange way. Absolutely inevitable. I mean, I guess he means absolutely necessary. Absolutely inevitable is the word here. That's the title. There are 3 important levels of virtue. First is refraining from doing unskillful actions, keeping the basic precepts. Second is the virtue of sense restraint, keeping all 6 senses, including the mind, directed toward practice and away from desires. Third is the true inner virtue beyond any rules or precepts that comes from a silent, purified mind. You don't need the precepts, the mind naturally is doing what it's supposed to. In this, wisdom arises in conjunction with all six senses, and every moment of being in the world is mindful beyond selfishness. We must all begin practicing the first two kinds of virtue, and as our minds become clear and silent, then inner virtue will come. It will grow out of the harmony of body and mind, out of letting go of desires, and from the deep understanding of the emptiness of the world. We'll end it on that. Well said. It's an excellent book, by the way, because there's something for everyone in there. Well, at least anyone who's interested in books. Not everyone. I don't think some of the politicians will crack that book ever. We're hearing from His Holiness now, if you wish. If not, let me know right away, and we won't hear from. This is from Volume 8 of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion, Realizing the Profound View. We've dipped into this book before. The further collaboration between His Holiness and Venerable Thupten Chudran, Light of the Dharma, Thupten Chudran. There'll be 10 volumes in the series. I think Tantra is 9 and 10. I don't know. They'll be out in the next 2 years or so. They're coming out every 9 months or so. So he's talking about, what he's doing here is parsing the stages of the path, this poem, three principal aspects of the path, the Lam Tsa Nam Sum. Lam Tsa Nam Sum? I can't pronounce Tibet. Anyway, the three principal acts of the path, which we were talking about here at the Tibet Center on Saturday. He's taking a particular verse, and we'll do this, we'll tap into this again in the future, because it's a little relevant to our situation, the station that we're at the Lam Rim now. So he repeats the verse. Tsong-kha-pa says, one who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in cyclic existence and beyond, and dismantles every notion of an objectified basis, has entered the path that pleases the Buddha. So whoever sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in cyclic existence and beyond, and dismantles every notion of an objectified basis, I'm here, that's there, has entered the path that pleases the Buddha. His Holiness now comments, this verse explains how to gain the initial realization of emptiness. Here, dependent arising is used as the reason to prove that all phenomena lack inherent existence. That is, emptiness is realized in terms of dependent arising. This marks entering the path that pleases the Buddha. A shallow understanding of dependent arising isn't sufficient to bring about this realization of emptiness, however. Knowing that a sprout arises from a seed cannot induce a conceptual consciousness ascertaining emptiness. If it did, all farmers and gardeners would have realized emptiness. Hello. So, it's got to be a little deeper. The infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in cyclic existence and beyond refers to all phenomena, both products, which are impermanent phenomena. If it's a product, it's impermanent. It's also a cause, right? And non-products, permanent phenomena. Beyond refers to nirvana, the state beyond the sorrow and misery of samsara. See, each word is parsed, is explained, pulled apart, analyzed, whatever you want. Deconstructed, maybe? You can use that. I don't know. Nirvana is a permanent phenomenon. So cause and effect do not literally apply to it. Think about it. However, true cessations occur dependent on true paths. You got rid of this, you got rid of that, and you unveiled your Buddha nature more. And the ultimate true cessation is nirvana. State beyond sorrow. Nirvana means state beyond sorrow. Although true cessations are not produced by causes as such, metaphorically it is said that they are effects of the true paths. Similarly, because directly realizing emptiness makes one an Arya, it cannot be said that emptiness is the cause of an Arya's qualities, even though emptiness is it can be said that emptiness is the cause of an Arya's qualities, even though emptiness is a permanent phenomena. In a different sense, metaphorically, you're saying it's the cause. They have a direct realization of emptiness, so they get the title Arya, noble being. Grasping either samsara or nirvana as inherently existent keeps us bound and is to be overcome. In 60 stanzas of reasoning, Nagarjuna says, those who do not see ultimate reality grasp at samsara and nirvana. Cling, clinging and grasping, just like the Theravada teacher said. But those who see ultimate reality possess no pretensions of the world and its transcendence. His Holiness continues now, page 266. The infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in cyclic existence refers to the 12 links of dependent origination that describe how we enter cyclic existence. It also refers to the functioning of the law of karma and its effects. The infallible cause and effect of all phenomena, beyond, refers to the causal process of ceasing samsara and attaining nirvana. By ceasing ignorance, formative actions cease. Ignorance, action, formative actions increase. By ceasing formative actions, consciousness ceases, and so forth. So formative actions, karma. No ignorance, no karma. No karmic formations, they sometimes say. In a broader sense, cause and effect here can also refer to mutual dependence and dependent designation, which apply to all phenomena, including nirvana. It's a little heavy. The path that pleases the Buddha begins with an inferential realization, this is practical now, of emptiness, according to the view of the Prasangika Madhyamaka, and progresses to direct non-conceptual realization of emptiness. Why does he say Prasangika Madhyamaka? Because their idea of emptiness is empty of inherent existence. Other schools have lesser definitions. They claim it's the ultimate, but nothing wrong with them. Remember, they're rungs on a ladder, they're stepping stones for people whose minds can handle that, but not the next step. You're being conditioned to be able to handle the higher view. So we don't say, that's a lower school. We'd be made of fools of in debate by the lowest school. I think I would. I don't know, maybe you're quite bright, but I would have a problem. So you start with the inferential realization, then you go to a non-conceptual realization of empty. To actualize that path, we begin with hearing and studying the teachings, as well as thinking about and discussing their meaning, carefully discussing that. From this, our wrong views soften and doubt incline toward the correct meaning, in this case, thinking that all phenomena perhaps are empty, arises. In other words, well, maybe they are empty. Doubt tending towards the fact, which are the 7 steps on up to the fact, Our understanding then progresses from doubt to correct assumption. No, after that. There are many degrees of correct assumption, stretching from the assumption that phenomena are empty because it seems right, to a firm belief that will soon become an inference. Oh, seems right, but then that deepens. So the idea is you think, yeah, that makes sense, that's okay. Don't leave it at that. Get deeper into it. That's how you get let out of this crap that we're in all the time. The deep understanding of causal dependence is cultivated over time. And once cultivated, repeated meditation is essential to realize that if something arises dependently, it must be empty of existing independently by its own power. If it rises dependently, it can't be independent. We think they are instinctively. We see them as that, categorize them as that. Not the case. Fine for everyday life, but to get out of this mess, you have to go deeper. So, this is a difficult step, where proponents of the lower tenet systems fall short in that they cannot realize the pervasion. And what is the pervasion? That whatever arises dependently lacks inherent existence. They also cannot realize the counter-pervasion. That whatever is inherently existent cannot exist dependently. So that's where you could start your meditation. If it's inherently existent, why is it reacting with this or that? Why is it caused? Why is it going out of business? Then inherent existent means it's static, not affected by time or nothing. Doesn't cooperate. No such thing. But there's an instinct in our mind that thinks that's the way things are. We categorize. That's what he's trying to get at here. I'm trying to get at it. Anyway. When that barrier is overcome through more analysis and meditation, Madhyamikas gain the inferential realization of emptiness during a meditation session on emptiness. Inferential. With this initial realization of emptiness, meditators are not yet able to establish phenomena as conventionally existent. Remember last time? Hard, even from a conceptual idea of emptiness. Yeah, convince yourself conceptually of a conceptual realization or an inferential realization. It's still hard to posit the working of conventionalities. So he's saying meditators are not yet able to establish phenomena as conventionally existent in the face of realizing their emptiness. Emptiness and dependent rising are not mutually supported at this time. They eventually are, and that's the way they are in reality, but not at this time to our minds. It's a good idea, maybe. We hear this and we repeat it. Emptiness, we say it in the prayer every day, but we didn't realize it in our minds yet. I guess we'll know. Nevertheless, this inferential realization brings about a strong change in the meditator's mind. It does not negate too much and fall to the extreme of nihilism by contradicting the cause and effect nature of mundane and supramundane phenomena that undeniably bring harm and help. Yes, conventional phenomena do bring harm and help. You can't say they're not there or this or that. This understanding also does not negate too little and still accept some degree of inherent existence. It's all taking place conceptually. When emptiness is realized within a non-mistaken understanding of causal dependence, the resulting wisdom, when progressively developed, is capable of overcoming all grasping at inherent existence. It's capable of overcoming time. The path pleasing to the Buddha is generated by using dependent arising as the reason to establish emptiness. I'm going to go through this even though we won't get much Lamrim tonight, but this is very key, and it is His Holiness. Mere dependent designation, Tendrel or whatever, is very subtle, and understanding it occurs after realizing emptiness. Dependent designation, occurs after realizing emptiness. So there's a progression. Emptiness, now it dependently arises. To gain the initial realization of emptiness, meditating on the reasonings of causal dependence or dependence on parts is sufficient. In other words, there's three ways that things are dependent. They're dependent on causes, depending on parts in the whole. For their designation, they're also dependent on the designating consciousness. That's not in play right now. Just the first two is enough, he's saying. So to gain the initial realization of emptiness, meditating on the reasons of causal dependence, its cause, or dependence on parts is enough. On parts is sufficient. These lead to the conclusion that phenomena lack any objectified basis, such that when we search for the referent of a term such as I, we cannot identify anything that is it. That I's not there, by the way. The thing that's causing all the trouble, not there the way we think it is. I haven't realized that, but I hope to, because that seems to be the key. This inferential realization dismantles every notion of an objectified basis, in that now meditators are sure that inherent existence cannot possibly exist. It can't be inherent existence by thinking over. Their previous certitude that ignorantly thought phenomena existed inherently has been shattered. They have correctly understood emptiness and are on the right path. However, they have not yet destroyed all false perception of phenomena's inherent existence by uprooting the ignorance grasping inherent existence so that it can never return. The process of doing this begins only when they directly and non-conceptually perceive emptiness without the medium of a conceptual appearance that an inferential realization entails. You're realizing it through a mental picture, an idea, generic image, meaning generality, donchi into that, whatever. Artha Samanya in Sanskrit. Remember Artha Samanya? Nice. Anyway, I'm making a joke. That's what that was. At this point in their practice, it is important for meditators to stay with the negation of inherent existence by repeated meditation and familiarization with it. Don't just run away. I got it, I understand, and take off. You have to get that deeper and deeper. The calmer the mind, the deeper it goes, the more you change, the quicker you get out of samsara on the trail to Buddhahood. Nevertheless, upon arising from meditative equipoise on emptiness, the people and objects in the environment begin to appear like illusions. Space-like emptiness within the equipoise, a dream-like emptiness or illusion-like when you step out and start walking around in the world again. That is, although they appear to exist inherently, The meditators know that appearance is false. Yeah, here it comes. It seems like dreamlike, a little like I'm in I don't know. Since meditators will have just realized emptiness, these illusion-like appearances are still weak and do not last long. Yeah, about an hour or so they fade away. I'm told. So, but the deeper you go for understanding emptiness. Yeah, it's a dream. It's dreamlike. But as their understanding of emptiness deepens, their experience of illusion-like appearances is extended. The post-meditative, the post-equipoise realization. Illusion-like appearances will be explained in more depth in the following chapter. We can't wait. Yeah, we can. Well, we can't, actually. On page 268. Without understanding that the existence and identity of all phenomena is posited purely in terms of dependence, we are compelled to assert that they exist from their own side, as the non-Buddhist schools and lower Buddhist schools do. Because these schools assert some type of inherent existence, they do not accept that inherent existence and dependent existence are contradictory. In addition, they do not assert that the appearance of inherent existence to our sense consciousness is mistaken. That things do not exist inherently, although they appear to our senses to exist in that way. They're going on their sense appearances, and that's it. They can't accept it. By making this error, the Svatantrika Madhyamaka is the one just below Prasangika, and followers of the lower systems of Buddhist thought have not realized the intent of the Buddha and are unable to gain inferential realization of emptiness, unable to gain a correct inferential realization of emptiness, let alone enter the Arya's meditative equipoise directly realizing emptiness. That's a very powerful statement. So with the wrong philosophy, you can't even understand emptiness inferentially in a correct manner. You have your own vague idea of it, and you run with that. So that's why there's rungs of a ladder, and then the higher school starts debating with you and says, you said this, back and forth. So that's the gist of tenet study. It's very practical. A little bit of Geshe Sopa we got time for. I'll squeeze him in. Geshe Sopa, yes. He's in the green room right now, waiting to enter. Trying to get something that's... it's quoting CHEN Trakirti, but we won't go to that. What is a non-deceptive cognition? It understands its main object correctly. What is the definition of subsequent knowing? I'm not going through all of this. I'm skipping around. A mind that realizes what has already been realized, subsequent knowing. The Tibetan word for subsequent knowing can be expanded in a literal translation, knowing that eliminates doubt. That's why subsequent knowing. I understand. Yes, I understand. It eliminates doubt. In other words, the object is already known, so there's no doubt. Subsequent knowing realizes something that was known previously. It is like remembering. So that you stay with something. The Prasangika, this is on page 156, the Prasangika Madhyamikas assert that all sense consciousness, except for those of Buddhas, are mistaken consciousness. How are they mistaken? Yeah, our eyes see this. Because some people think, oh, you see things correctly, but then the mind takes over and screws it up. They're saying the sense conscious themselves. How are they mistaken? They are mistaken with regard to the way these objects appear to them. Forms, sounds, smells, and so on appear to sense consciousness to exist inherently, but they are free of inherent existence. He's saying that your sense consciousness themselves are seeing inherent existence. It's not that you saw the naked thing, which some schools say, and then your mind takes over and screws it up. No. Some schools say that's it. That's the pure vision. When you see it without thinking, not true. It's good to start off that way, maybe. I don't know. The scriptures often give the example of visual consciousness seeing the reflection of a face in a mirror. The face seen in the mirror is not a real human face. However, when the visual consciousness, based on the subtle visual sense power in the eye, looks into the mirror, it sees what appears to be a face existing from its own side. Similarly, when a visual consciousness now sees a form, it sees what appears to be a form existing from its own side. That form appears to be inherently existent, but there is no such inherently existent thing there. According to the Prasangikas, because the sense consciousnesses are mistaken in this way, They are deceptive. Their appearing objects are false, because what appears to exist in one way, in fact, exists in another ways. So these appearances are illusion-like. They named illusion-like. So that's the reason why they're illusion-like. What happened, Darren? I got a text. Are we losing? You still see me and everything? I don't know. Oh, it just came out. Never mind. He sent an email out and I picked it up. All right. So we'll leave it at that. The Sartantrikas say that direct perception is never mistaken. That's the school right below. It's never Svatantrikas or Sautrantrika. No, that's a Theravada school. We'll get to this next week, because the idea, though, is there's a tendency to think that we see something directly and then we screw it up with our mind. What we're seeing is incorrect. That's a big thing. Strange, And sabore, they say in Tibet. Strange. For whom will we pray? She studied Theravada 20 years ago. You're not that old, Rana. Don't BS me. You're only 38. Migrant deaths to Mexico? Yes. Absolutely. What happened to my screen? Okay. Okay, so, and we've had school shooting. We did it. It's never ending. You can rest assured that this country continues its way of life and its attitudes. The only thing that's stopping this is you can make all your speeches about gun control, etc. The Congress is not going to budge. We have to change minds. That's why His Holiness's presentation of secular ethics and ethics for the new morality is very important. Even if people don't have a religion, you point out that certain things in their mind are causing their own trouble. Maybe we can change people's minds. We'll try. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavad, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak, Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi, where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavad, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy, and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Yana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And those poor folks. As a further cause for the quick return of Rato Trungpa Rinpoche, His Holiness Dalai Lama recommends that we say this prayer for the flourishing of Tsong-kha-pa's teachings, written by Losang Jaltanma. Jaltanma, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's on our website. Hold on, excuse me. Though he's the father, producer of all conquerors, as a conqueror's son, he produced the thought of upholding the conqueror's dharma in infinite worlds. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. When of yore in the presence of Buddha Indraketu, he made his vow. The conqueror and his offspring praised his powerful courage. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. That the lineage of pure view and conduct might spread, he offered a white crystal rosary to the sage, who gave him a conch and prophesied. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. His pure view free of eternity or destruction, his pure meditation cleansed of dark, fading, and fog, his pure conduct practiced according to the conqueror's orders, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Learn, since he extensively sought out learning. Reverend, rightly applying it to himself. Good, dedicating all for beings in the doctrine, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Through being sure that all scriptures, definitive and interpretive, were without contradiction, advice for one person's practice, he stopped all misconduct. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Listening to explanations of the three Pitakas, realized teachings, practice of the three trainings, his skilled and accomplished life story is amazing. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Outwardly calmed and subdued by the hearer's conduct, inwardly trusting in the two stages practice, he allied without clash the good paths of Sutra and Tantra. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Combining voidness, explained as the causal vehicle, with great bliss achieved by method, the effect vehicle. Heart essence of 80,000 Dharma bundles, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. By the power of the ocean of oath-bound doctrine protectors, like the main guardians of the three beings' paths, the quick-acting Lord, Mahakala, Vaishravana, Karma-yama, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. In short, by the lasting of glorious Gurus' lives, by the earth being full of good, learned, reverend holders of the teachings, and by the increase of the power of its patrons, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Now, 8 verses on training the mind, which we will recite as soon as I turn to the proper page. Ay, ay, ay. I'm such a klutz lately. Old age has hit me on the head. Ouch. Where are we? 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. If you have problems saying all happiness directly, and I'll give them that, and please give me all your sufferings. If you feel fear when doing that, that's a good sign. That can't happen most. You're not a Buddha, you can't do that. Even they can't, they would have done it already. But the fact that you have some fear that I really don't want to, it shows sincerity. Shows that you're with the program. Anyway, so this concludes tonight's presentation. Our next presentation will be Monday night, the 3rd, I believe, right? Of April. We're already in April now. March is finished. Nothing new happening yet. Nikki's due to come here and take up residence shortly. We don't have any dates, but it will be very soon. Thank you so much for your patient listening. It's a tough topic. Big love to all of you.